Mr. Men, Little Miss, Talent Show. Roger Hargreaves. Mr. Nosey was walking down a lane near his house when he saw something curious on the other side of the hedge. It was a pair of feet. Being the nosy fellow he was, he took a peek over the hedge. On the other side of the hedge was little Miss Curious doing a one-handed handstand.
"That's clever,"
said Mr. Nosey.
"but I bet you can't do this."
With which Mr. Nosey did a nose stand. Not something you see every day. "Wow!" exclaimed little Miss Curious. "That's quite a talent."
"We're all full of surprises,"
said Mr. Nosey. "I know," said little Miss Curious. "I'd love to find out what everyone's hidden talents are."
"So would I,"
said Mr. Nosey eagerly.
"We could sneak round and look through people's windows."
"I'm not sure that's a very good idea," said little Miss Curious. "But we could hold a talent show and invite everyone to reveal their hidden talents."
"I guess we could do that instead,"
said Mr. Nosey, looking a little disappointed. But he soon cheered up when they started organizing the show. The prospect of a talent show created a lot of excitement, and everyone rushed around helping to get ready for it. Little Miss Stubborn arrived with a red hooter and an enormous box. "I will honk the hooter to eliminate acts and release the stars for the winner," she explained. "But it's not a contest," said little Miss Sunshine. "There won't be a winner or a loser. It's just a show to show off everyone's talents." Everybody was as curious as little Miss Curious to see what hidden talents their friends had. As it turned out, not all the talents were all that hidden. Mr. Greedy ate 15 hot dogs in 15 seconds. It was a very brief talent. Little Miss Whoops knocked over 15 pots of paint in 15 seconds, which was a very messy talent. And Mr. Clever had memorized a whole dictionary, which was clever but very long-winded. Or it would have been, except for a very loud honking sound. It was little Miss Stubborn and her hooter. She would not take no for an answer. The audience were secretly rather pleased with the interruption. You also won't be surprised to hear that Mr. Funny played the clown, and little Miss Twins were the perfect double act. Mr. Silly had a silly talent. It was something new to him. He had just learnt how to peel a banana. It was new to Mr. Silly because people in Nonsense Land don't peel their bananas. They eat them whole, peel and all. Bananas are not very popular in Nonsense Land. Mr. Nonsense was on next, but he was so blown away by Mr. Silly's revelation that he had to have a lie down. And of course, Mr. Impossible managed the impossible. There were also some surprise talents, Mr. Grumpy stomped up onto the stage and scowled at the audience. He coughed to clear his throat, opened his mouth, and sang like a choir of angels. It was quite beautiful, and moved little Miss Sunshine to tears. There were more surprises to come. Mr. Tickle could play the trombone, and little Miss Naughty could tap dance on a skateboard. Mr. Strong could juggle. He juggled tennis balls and cannonballs and people. He even juggled fridges. Some of the contestants had trained their pets to do amazing things. Little Miss Bossy had trained her dog to jump through hoops. Mr. Dizzy and his Cleverland pig recited the alphabet together, although it was unclear who had trained who. And little Miss Scary showed off her amazing dancing spiders. Little Miss Brave cycled across a tightrope above a tank of sharks. Mr. Nosey very loudly burped the national anthem. And Mr. Rude told jokes, very rude jokes. Luckily, little Miss Stubborn's hooter came in handy again. There were extraordinary talents. Mr. Bounce was fired from a cannon. And there were mind-boggling talents. Little Miss Somersault proved she could balance on anything. Even little Miss Shy got in on the act with her puppet show. Not that anybody would have known it was her. Little Miss Fun and her dance group tumbled and twirled and twisted and span around the stage. The last act of the night was Mr. Forgetful. Everyone waited in expectation as he stood under the spotlight. As the seconds ticked by, it became increasingly obvious that Mr. Forgetful had forgotten what he was supposed to do. How awkward! Poor Mr. Forgetful started to turn pink. Little Miss Stubborn reached for her hooter, but changed her mind and came to his rescue. She pulled the gold lever on her desk, and with a triumphant blast of trumpets, a cascade of stars came tumbling down onto the stage, covering Mr. Forgetful, who bowed as he went off to a rapturous applause. "What a brilliant evening!" said little Miss Sunshine, and everyone had to agree. "And," she continued, "I also have to say thank you to little Miss Stubborn for being so stubborn. We certainly discovered your talent. You rescued the show a few times there." Little Miss Stubborn smiled happily. In fact, everyone was happy. Well, not quite everyone. Little Miss Curious and Mr. Nosey's curiosity was not quite satisfied. They were desperate to know what Mr. Forgetful's talent was. But I doubt Mr. Forgetful will ever remember. Thank you for listening.